monigu amoshe na mo se tie yen nyame nhyira pa say of the numerous stations yen na mo chusu ye say mo hwe nyame nhyira Garden City Television Ghana Broadcasting Corporation omayi kasa omayi da ubo ekuo batan nenso ne nkrabata no bi ai wa santemantem ha eni your Garden City Radio 92.1 and yes our Garden City Television obesa enya o Facebook GCTV Garden City TV obenya ewo aha enso nti nema ye ka nyina nso ye de ye hwese ensem a ye beba ene nkomo a ye betwetwe no eye de ede mfaso ebebre wo ebebre me ene o man nso na yatimi akoye anim asene baby a ye woyi nti ene de ye hia ye bedi nkomo yakọ adwaman so abe na ye ba behwe COVID-19 nkomo a ye die ni nyina aman so international agency a de obia dwene ewo so no eye COVID-19 Ghana hanso se medical aka no yade high pa asama ni muso ama Ghana Health Service for aboye kokose ya nhwe yi a third wave ebeba nti kwan be na befa so a ye behwe se sa yade no emma edi kan ba ya restrictions ne ba no bia hu yirajira no na ye ka se yenyi mfiri ho ye yifiri ho no ya san kwa ye tibia da danum enu ene ye nyina ye hwe se ye nko sa tibia num ne ye nka se ye san restrict ye nti ene nyame ya adom ye ne onimdifo ene obenfo bi ebedi enkomo ewo COVID-19 mu eye Dr. Philip Yabano oye registrar ewo Health Facilities Regulatory Agency na owo nkran ene waji mre se yade we ehu hia pa nti obeba no ne ya bedi hu nkomo na ya hwe kwan ye nyina betimi afa so aboa ama yade be bia duru no ye betimi asan ya chi na yakọ ye dadem nti Dr. Yabano Philip mema wo akwaba eba Garden City Television so
ye nua ye oburu
Bijiri se wapom ye pa
nyamiado
se de wasi aye from na ohun aye fade na se menyi ni se bibi boni bia e wo ho
da wano ase ne mo mpa ebo nso
yede nyame ase se oba nso ode wa beka yensa boni bia nsi e wo kwam yo Health Facilities Regulatory Agency yenim se kame se ayaresa bia hodo ene minim se training school institutions no so kra nso omu baabi nso se mwase omu wo hu bibia se be ya mbetimi agina omo na so ene de wo se omo ya ansa na nipa akọ no mu na mo hwe ehu se we wo se ekọ nipa ba ha ana we mu aye enayie mu mfanto yie mu na mo hwe sa ene ma no so ana meboa
yo medasi Nicholas medasi wa to nsa no pe mother frame se memra na yemedi sa nkita hoin ne yentoto yenkyerɛkyerɛ mu na watiefo nyina so enti edi kan no mekyia ma ne mema omu ye adwuma wo hefra ewo nkran ne Ghana ha nyina mekyia watiefo nso
mojo so
I have facility and regulatory agency na ye hefra no ye ne regulate all the health facilities maybe ma aya sabia enti say ye hospital say ye polyclinic say a health center, say a maternity home, say a chips compound, and now baby a lab testing in no. Yena a quiet home, Ubunimicas inspection, a quiet Nico share, making sure say a drill or machine or Momo Jumanson yet, almost over. And Sunny and Mabudin Crata say, corner B now fire or Juma. And now Ubusa question me say, or more, your child the end on your cohana. Enye baby a omochira de ne pese no nkasangasa na ye ene ye Ministry of Education ye sa de no so ade kire nyina ye aswe omohwe education na ye ndie so omo wo clinic nkwa de a ko ho no ko hospital
e bit is a KNUSC hospital
ye ko ho Confanochi teaching hospital ye ko Kolebu ye ko ho all hospitals nyina ye ko na anu kra no KCC a ha no ye omo ye
COVID-19 testing
na ye ba ho nyina nuguchi no nyina any call make sure say you nipa no ye dwuma ho no muta body nkrata mfidie no mo de ye no last time ben kwa no mo check ehwe say eye dwuma yie on dem che no say be ya the resource ne ma wa no hu say eye so that ye dwuma ye no ene de boa aban no
say mo ama sa omo a eye say dwuma no kwan se munya emrem no mu ni kwan se omo ye adwuma no a omo so omo ye efa nipa apom den ho no
enokre en obi do bi ha omo ni en abodin krata ni kwan se omo ye sa adwuma no enokre na eye covid na me fa
ye ba so kra
okay mate
nti se de ye ka se momo apomudin ene ho nhise mo wo ho twakan na mu di mu akotene pa nsu yi ene na che se covid yi a ye ka ho asem yi monso mudi hu akotene pa na mo twaka ewom covid sisi a yekase I come here say the yekase Ghana Health Service mi di ka kan no omo boy kokose e betimi akọ third wave mu eno nso nya asem da wo say obi a yese emra sisi a no ye gina be pa wo he e wo covid ekunum
Nicholas Mendan so busa sa asem na eye bodi me ka say timely discussion I see nyina e boy ho ban yi na ehwe yi eda o twedi ampon ase say third wave ni de en Ukraine enya mfrase eni hanom ntia na ase but ese e boy ho ban yi kan say numbers no I started air cost review. The first wave was somewhere in May of last year. We say about around March na COVID March April na COVID
March 12 na we declare
hand in the first wave ni cost ropa na you go about 3,000 and so cases near there. And then Christmas time, right after January this year, in another second wave. This year, now started cost. We have April more. Now almost 2 weeks in the year, only less than 1,000 cases. But we share in the last 2 weeks now, about 2,500 cases. That means a cost run. Internet safe, but in wave time, no. A mom point, internet. Ghana Health Service any cases here Kumasi na anu ye any obi ase ese boy ho kokko na you make sure say enema nan na ye kan ye no sabio katoano hohronsa ana sanitize say social distance 2 meters away me this studio obi aye 2 meters away esa de ne and sabio any kan say enchan sam bio on the mention na ye what called etiquette sabio obowa no you wano all the mention and so those basic 4 measures say in the core hospitals are here so what we call IPC infection prevention and control any key thing I hear in the Veronica buckets were in show sabio samana ho and sanitizer honum tissue paper or sabio be then although epipan and sunny ade na mimpo de e ka me nko an nka covid den krampo nyame a chain na ekowia sa ne mane de basic hygiene tinka edaso wo honum kay nye hospital nko store akese eni nkuma offices nyina wo honum a so bio uye hygiene no the covid na ekode but it's also protect you from other infection bi a ubenya nso nti ono ni ade a ese nyina eda ehusu bio MC relax kakra
ya relax pa me ba eduru bi a me ba me bebo mama no abaso me yam observation mu say adherence no especially we no e was ra me ba me bo mo abaso but kofom so pa see kofom pa kofom pa na me so as a journalist here call different places team I observation be say enye nipa na nem krom no nko ana as omalusu guard enwuma mu nso anka ade na wosoro na omo sha asese omo de covid preventive initiative no as omo nso alusu guard baby obekọ na ensuo kra no ebi kra ni bucket nim ebi wo kra samena kra na bia ennim na muna mo call rounds pa nti mo kan say observation dey widespread health facilities no so bokọ ha omo measures no so
it is yeah me that's what we say COVID neighbor somewhere in May, June, July last year, no, inspected special project, called over 500 facilities. Ashanti and in Greater Accra, because these are the two main areas in Ghana.
Hotspots.
Right now, it was everywhere in Ghana. And think I said, "Be a Sebio, me will Sebio cross baby into media, Yarene Biniha, Honum." But these are the two main areas. Now, the situation was not bad in some ways. Now, do na at COVID no, do na Veronica Backers in so near Samra near Kenya Neo. Of course, Simon and Ebana at Germany will be aware no born home by. What we find wasn't bad in so many ways wasn't in terms of infection prevention control. But in some measures, the main concern is to say you masking, any gloves, any overall, any be using. People are not so. The ones who use we are not how be disposing no. Because these things, they can also infect people. The virus can stay on all these things for a while.
Many infants say, "Me no kase nese win shebi nese bia mimi shebi nese bi obia e ba e be good ye so." It is a man fan 2 year nese obi hu koka na say me e free me so unknowingly say e wa hanu na wo so
And since it's a medical waste and so no, and you can say the ordinary household waste in terms of disposal and those were the major initial concern, and we will even publish the data very soon. It should have been out by now, but we are going to publish it so initially in the Nenyaba. And now some and other measures, and now you're very hard. My penny kind now you're close borders, okay, even cry, some and a day, open so about my more. Yes, a Testo airport, and no more pa ama, or Saria no Yadia ne Wogana, said you if you are man on it. And a buy and by putting at the borders and a man echo. Now, if contact tracing, any identity in an Umuntremu, I see a cover view, now a double an effort. Now, and a test, trace, test, and treat. Yes, it's COVID no by and large, Uka buying hospitals and facilities now. A free or one charge, a oxygen, drone the moon, it is still free. We need to do better on isolation and quarantine of suspected cases. But it's here no say a third wave. Na a man who see. Na say boy who ya die who see. Na nkofa problem kesebia amro man.
Na me what do we be betray me chiro but chire mu ye nya proper education. What say we na ya hye no nose mask na ya hye no. A part of medical waste. And since said you see two real good said a pen, the dada no, and say a yes, sir. Quite fast a disposal of.
And okay. A year hospital, dear, no, and an American one. Okay. Now a face mask, gloves, overalls, na disposable. No. Now you been with the good regular waste.
Okay.
They said and also household, but we should have it on as a part of medical waste and treat it as a potentially infectious waste. So there will be air handle so waste now. No one who you say, hey, I deal with it could be COVID because Katawano, Unipani will be the virus could still be on there and they could stay on for a long time. So we should treat it with caution. There's a proper way to get rid of medical waste. No more burning, no more treating. Sometimes they even do autoclaving where it is necessary. Now, kill the virus before they dispose of it. So, will not mistakenly take hold of that material, no infecting him. Even crowd here overall, in case of it, and you can say the coffee or the mention and now come as a and also baby so uncle Simon. So, it should be done in a hospital where you have a way to handle that. Coats in the overalls there, in case it's a material now you want to reuse or again.
I have for any Dr. Philip Yabano, what a registrar, Health Facilities Regulatory Agency, HEFRA, and now a chinkomo and Anopa. Now, boy, I'm here to COVID no, I see now a quiet before a union answer to me, a see third wave now, Ghana Health Service, a boy a cocono, and no. Ekwan doc nti sisiano ye hu se yade no mani muso last week exactly a week ago came me a statement by but from 1st to 13th of July this month, you know. Kumasi hankwa nipa 200 enye bi ama within the period nipa 10 ewuye. Na say asante Kumasi hankwa no na ya tete nso say asante region ankasa no this time cases no ekọ esropa. Enti sisi ade ne yenya yebetumi ama ya de na san akofom na senka possible enka within the shortest possible time no yade no enko to the level a yebehu se afi de ye ho atoy kakra fi yade ne nsem
yo ya me da se sisi ayare covid no sabi eho aduro ni ho obi a o man bia ni wo ho aduro as a vaccine na ya betuma protect ho but in the grounds no nya kra se obetumi ayare but the protect ho pa and the four things na me kan etwem kakra me kan and no the main thing na ya individual no betumi aye no abo ho ban entino katawa no ene ohene ebi kan the toss me no ohoro nsa se obi a okoyi waso edan door knob nipa bebre susum all them jana na enti we are no was sanitize and our wash nsa ade samana and wash no the tissue no paper the toss me the me nsa no social distance and as physical distance and the toss na no yenchen nsem bio all them jana na we face bump and as say obe one so na ajawada ne wano say be ya onkofu bi so. Now the other measures in this, I know the ABI buying the sounds so deba. I mean, the church service is large, you know. I think it's still 90 minutes or 2 hours still. That is still in effect.
2 hours. So, I'm for mrafophobia.
In my hand. Until I say, you are sorry for so many because minimum so be 2-3 hours. You know, no that's so hon. Now indoors, a demo they is serious because the demo more human from man at the corner. So what must here. Outdoors there from a bonny at the court less of a problem, but more indoors, such like church. Now church in the mosque near the Sebion's and imping force and a tide or Meranin Kokra, that also chain ranty and Mabawa. You know, it makes them that's the more vulnerable age. Indoors is very important. Wait me extending a year as most Ghana and a year about 10. On the Mijanana, internet is less dangerous, but it is still a so many because any part doors could be banned, could be no future crime from baby and any pen mangle at the end, and any gathering. And yes, be a winning you pen America. Sports events, Sana's stadium, so Yana is very open. And it's not as bad. So the whole thing is indoor versus outdoor activities. And the more enclosed, the more serious the issue is. Internet plane more serious than car on the Michelin because plane is enclosed. Munina from Abakuna na Mohome. Sort of
that's just it.
In just say, well, they're all Niman getting get so nipa no Usia, neither outboard by any or Maho by. Or my school nowadays sanitize the beer session bag, you mamma, or the Michelin, hey, Kufi and I are going to go some channel. Now, horns, what sanitizer, they're saying I is side, you know. Na your boy home by abayin soon stop us contact tracing no but we need to be more involved na more be our exposed no isolation or quarantine card ma ban because I see you go to hotel and hospital baby they feed you near the end but it is worth it. It costs a lot of money but those are things that we need to get back and do.
Yes, Amra Hefra. What the only health facilities, you know, and near COVID in who are saying. Cecilia Pano, a dear partner was said almost because I make us say, maybe personal observation, my year going rounds doing my work as a reporter. No, I say, in Shokubana, a bucket in a crazy hole, but in Shunim. Cecilia, now, hospital name. Baby no so na omo a designated baby say e bia nipa no ba be isolation center sa na manema no but say e call form no as part of losing the guard no sa na many nyina say yasa dey about to the normal use no nti see ano dey na mo so mo here as a regulatory agency say the be a the year man no call form no ye be sign akọ form ye be say akọ form biem na ye nkofa no hospital kra.
Okay, if free say COVID in the buy, yada ya ho so kakra. Nti ne nyese bia e call from no say bi Nyankopon no do enko nti onyame do ende ne call from ba ya here a few measures no so aboa. If they are say pa na we only 2 places are waiting for treatment. But right now we have almost 70 places in Ghana, certified places are. Said your doctor for any nurses for mom yedma ho nyina na o ma nya receive COVID-19 training how to take care of us boy nyina ya ho ban. So what man say until we've built capacity a bit there. Until no wo honum e bia ba bia akoye no na isolation place in until bia o mo anye na yesa Samria nyina ebo ho dawri say third wave near possible no because Delta variant na more serious in terms of transmissibility and infectivity no and also abeduru Ghana hanom nti no ese nyina ebo ho ba nti ombeso beti na face isolation centers na de nyina no so omasan agency so muja ya no masan e de ababio and that's another thing. Also, we've also gotten more equipment in terms of some special beds we need, oxygen tanks, and PPEs, and so about continue to import more of them into the country. So those are some of the measures now. The boy and Hobai,
Now, Osha Omonso a year investigation into suspected cases now. This is a case here. I'm a confirmation so. Also in the course of I'm almost in a center maybe and a few other places be. See, also in terms of capacity. Say in case numbers sign said the bar corner. Also, I hope Boano at saying are we assured say Bassa and moon come here moon fire so.
Thank you. And another invitation can say bending the curve. In terms of our ICU beds, you can crack from at the beginning, but we can do a whole lot better. Right now, for every one ICU bed, is for 200,000 Ghanaians. That is way inadequate. That is one area. I say I'm buying Timibua, Ebuana in Sedebea. Not just we have enough beds to cater for them. The other one is in the oxygen, oxygen tanks. The who say some industries, the steel industry, almost no much produce oxygen, but and yet hospital grade. Produce oxygen, but and yet hospital grade. Until they say finding ways to be I'm bringing up the grade, by helping with the filtration now and improve impurities in the water tanks anymore. So that will be here with Timia use because some of it has found it on the market into the hospital system. That's another area where regulation.
Me pachopi, cabbage in our kakra, mamma. That's me. Okay, they said the hookakra. They have found their way into the system. How come? Then the ban is up because there are some regulations.
Regulation, there are companies who produce hospital grade oxygen for us. It has certain high purity standards and a high oxygen content. But also industry also produce oxygen, but they are of a different or a lower standard because they're using for in steel manufacturing or welding and other things. And somehow, because there's a demand for oxygen, and yet all our hospitals had them. Some people have also gone to them and have bought some oxygen from there. So even though it may not be very high, it still has oxygen in it. So, but we are doing away.
Now, sir, a new standard now open, and no, sir, now, and your choir bus system, and so it will come out and harmful to the human body.
No, it will be still helpful. It is if we are dying, I said, because we could not blow air mouth crana, say, boy, me one. And this is still much better than nothing. However, since we are now aware of it, we are trying to help them to make sure, say, the filtration process and all things are in place before you bring it to the hospital for use. And also the tanks, there's some cleaning and things that have to be done in there, so that it minimizes any unnecessary harm to the patient. But it is still there, and So that is one area of intervention that government is doing to help improve the oxygen availability in the country. The other thing now, cases here need to go to right now. Government say you are as good as your data. So now there's a centralized database. Bia COVID testing na kohonum. So I buy information in them. So that be wait me acting on it. Until we be monitoring all this Delta. Now if free say you India for about India. So I say government has been monitoring now we are able to respond quickly. So we don't have a third wave yet. But we have seen say numbers now started course. I don't do an answer. Who has a school? Secondary school, 2030 immediately. Say about Honum. It's all part Achimota and schools and it's all part of this centralized database. Alert government. Another thing is why we've increased the number of labs now. Testing. Initially there was about a dozen or so. Actually, very early on, only 2. Noguchi, any cases here, no more reference information. Now, quickly, in other reference labs, about a dozen were able to add it, all the ones, the medical schools in the United. But now, as I'm speaking, almost 46 labs have already been registered in the country. They report through a centralized database. So information is coming quicker. Government has it and is able to respond.
The capacity has been enhanced compared to the
and another thing about me finding but Ghana for doctors, scientists, professionals almost the genomic testing. They say obinya virus now. They bet me who say alpha 1, alpha never infection, and NASA is the more deadly Delta variant, those are all some of the things that are by the whole thing said treatment they been here, cure they been here, but they say die and now the 4 main things. You reduce the same share mask now share mask. We reduce the chances and you are more than 2 meters away. So say the chances I say you moving pro is almost nil. On the mention but so be one say on fan a minga time on the mention it increases the chance of being especially since we are indoors on the mention and one is the main thing you can't vaccine WhatsApp and also somewhere and also boy home buying.
You see how the Yamma say ye vaccine but obedi ebia ba doc ye de ye come to train be we and go tell na men kind na hwese obinya response bia na fine come to train we. Was it good morning to begin with? There's no justification to the type of gathering that we see these days from political activities. Notwithstanding the above, we have warned that if the current trend of using the behavior of others to justify and encourage their population to ignore the protocols will result in dire consequences. The Infectious Disease Center is getting full. The University of Ghana Medical Center almost full. Konfano Teaching Hospital here is struggling for space, and Kolebu has no different situation. What is left is for the few of those on admission now to get worse off, and our ICUs will be overwhelmed. Don't forget, we do not have enough emergency center care-trained nurses. And remember, we do not have enough ventilators as a country. Therefore, let's not drive the nation down the road. It will not help anyone. Sorry for the long message. Okay. Into anonso kokoba ode maye no. And now also 18 bim say enya ade a sisi situation no. Si agoro ho kakra bia e de asempa e be maye. Nti ode we ka ho no. Na ode onsema etwato e bre ne ya hwese aban so vaccination nka vaccines no be bantentem na nka nyina nso etimi enya bi. Media mema otu no. Bi so a otu ba do sen na awo. Senke mudu do na etimi wa na afi nka ehu se
etimi aboyo nyina ho ban yo meda na so emso onyi ba kono wa ya research pa Ghana man yenya almost 1.3 million doses vaccine and aba.
Aba sisi
Aba ayawo. The aba yawo ni nyina about 1.3 million doses. Into about 800,000 or so have gotten the first dose, and about half that many have gotten the 2 doses. The 2 doses they give it the maximum protection. And when you Oxford AstraZeneca now is almost 75%, 74.7%, something like that, almost 75% protection against the alpha one, the first one, or almost 70%, about 67 point something protection against this deadly Delta, one, the Delta one. Omo ye looking now, munya Pfizer, BioNTech, it's almost 95%, about 94.8, something like that. Almost 95% against the alpha, the first one, and now it's 88% protection against the Delta. The good news is say, omo born na abon mi so far no yenya death. Ghana or even most places around the world have not recorded death because of the due to COVID-19, from the Delta or the Alpha after they received the 2 doses now. Though some have gotten sick, mild and moderate cases, some have even been hospitalized, but death has not been recorded, not all due to the COVID, by the way. So that is the good news that we have. So we know, say, immunization, it works. Until there's a message, Anopa Bosuo to her now. About a phone in our man, say.
Doc, and 1 hour can catch it on my show. Come the 2 or more for mine. You say Abasoba and a Japan.
But Omo said you, minimum of motivation, Omo misinformation at social media, so normally you say no more can. Against immunization and vaccination, even though we don't have 100% information or everything about the vaccine, you use what you have, and it's this immunization. And so far, all the fears for cancer, we are on saboteur, none of that has happened. Into the and now Bushani and now are down for new Juma. That's no the shiny trim into no uncle immunization in Bia. That's a bill, maybe crown over Kuno. Because or more 100% death in some hospitals are those who never even got 1 dose. When we saw 1 dose, it can give you anywhere from 30 to 40% protection, depending on which immunization that you receive. 30 to 40% protection, even from 1. Those all the mentioned. Right now, it is the only thing we have. You need to be a draw beer, no be a catch as a bill, made a draw way to a noon. Now we never bought who buy from COVID. Mr. or you come to Pony. A bini hosa. There Oma tried several medications. A beer knew what an appointment no can say. Send me a timia juma.
Yo, I for. Dr. Philip Yao Bano, Registrar, Health Facilities Regulatory Agency, HEFRA. And now, you know, at Junkoma, Wabe Boya me at COVID-19, no, I see no quine ever faswa. You be see 3rd wave, and no quine said the Ghana Health Service for any answer air boy cocono. Say a samba 3rd wave, na 1st wave, no, we are uti ye, 1 yare. 2nd wave no ba bia utie ye kakra wo yare but one kwa hochiremu na awamu but nobody can tell say 3rd wave no ba ne kanwa the end result enti prevention they say is better than cure ebe ye so obebo ho ban si a essence obetena ho amayare na bansa no akopre ano ebo wa yese ka ede ba no ene wankasa de bre wa pomde no enye adpapa enti yenyina ye moy ho ban show nose mask no doc ya da sepa say wase mre na ena no petutu to say obewe say nyame nhira na de okwa bia nso enye yi Garden City TV ye ma nantiye
that's Nicholas
entefo ne ahefo ye da mase se mokoso egibre Garden City TV Ghana Broadcasting Corporation krabata no ena ye de enkomonnitwe no ebro enche ye beba ye sade nsefufro nkoma fufro beba na yɛn no abɛtwetwe titiriw ɛne National Peace Council ɛno mbɛdi nkɔmmɔ na wɔntwi ɛtaa ba asetena mu no kwan a yɛn nyinaa bɛfa so a yɛbɛsɔ ano ntɛm na ankɔfa deɛ ɛba si wɔ adwira no bi amma yɛ abrabɔ mu ebiem montwɛn kakraa bi na yɛnkɔ no nsuo mmra.